Well, hello. Today is the 1961 gothic horror movie The Pit and the Pendulum, starring Vincent Price. In 1547 Spain, a young man named Francis visits the castle of Nicholas Medina, who is his brother-in-law. He wants to know the circumstances of the death of his young sister Elizabeth. At first he gets vague explanations from him and his sister Catherine. Later, at dinner with the doctor, who confirms she died of fright. She was obsessed with the torture chamber and locked herself in the Iron Maiden. We get the story of Nicholas's past. As a child, he witnessed his father kill his uncle and torture his mother for being an adulterer. Later, there is a commotion in Elizabeth's room that suggests the spirit has come back to haunt Nicholas. Nicholas has a paranoia that he prematurely buried his wife. They exhume the crypt and find a putrefied body that suggests she was indeed alive. Later, Nicholas hears Elizabeth calling to him and goes to her crypt. He is confronted by her rising from the crypt and chases him to the torture chamber. Nicholas seems to die, and we find out this was the plan between Elizabeth and the doctor, who were having an affair to drive him mad so they could take his wealth. Only they succeeded too well, and Nicholas now thinks he's his father. He killed the doctor and captures Francis, and plans to put him in the pendulum for a slow and painful death. So this 1961 movie starring Vincent Price is the second in many of the gothic horror movies that Roger Corman did for AIP during the 60s, mostly based on Edgar Allan Poe. And this one was, of course, based on the short story of his, The Pit and the Pendulum. And they got Richard Matheson to write the screenplay for it. Because as they said, it made a great third act, but they had to flesh it out some more because it was a short story. And he did a really good job with this, I think, giving us a nice background to everything that happened with the character of Medina and his wife and the brother that came to visit and stuff. And it was a budget of only $300,000. It made $2 million. All these movies made really good money. This was probably the most successful of the Edgar Allan Poe movies that AIP Roger Corman did. And it obviously, I think, was a really fun movie. I enjoy all these movies that Corman did with Edgar Allan Poe and Vincent Price. And I think anyone that says Roger Corman's a horrible director has obviously never seen his gothic horror movies from the 60s, because I think they're really brilliant. It had some beautiful sets. It was filmed in England, out, nice castle there, and really atmospheric. And I've never really read anything Edgar Allan Poe. I mean, I've heard about him and stuff, so I guess he had a lot of all this creepy stuff in the Middle Ages and premature burials and stuff, and that's what this movie definitely has. And it's at the time, I guess it was considered a really good horror movie. I mean, now modern audiences obviously become a bit jaded, and this is probably just going to be very tame by our standards. I know, and they apparently they marketed in Britain that they were offering £50,000 to anyone who died of fright while watching this. I don't really think it's that scary that you die of fright. But, it's a very good, horror movie that they did, which I think we've kind of lost how to do these kind of horror movies, sadly. We do a lot more special effects and gore than really the tension and stuff. And Vincent Price was excellent in all of these movies. He was always one character that could play either a villain or the hero, and In the ways he kind of did both in this movie. He was the good guy in the beginning, and then he turns real evil, and and it had a really fun ending. I won't give it away, but the adulterous wife got kind of her just desserts for this, as well as the doctor that was trying to make him mad. And I think this is a great movie. I know they also later on, when they made it in the 70s or something for TV, they padded it out with like 5 minutes in the beginning of where the sister finds an insane asylum in the bottom of the dungeon or something, and then it goes to a flashback of the movie. You can find it like on YouTube or that. I can see it doesn't really add anything to the movie. Like I said, it just pads it out. So this was a good movie, like all of Roger Corman's, Vincent Price's gothic horror films. I would highly recommend it. It's for month of Halloween, so go ahead and watch it. And if you stuck with me this long, I thank you. You're a unique individual.